And we are recording on Wednesday, January 11th, 2023 at 2:22 p.m. Eastern Time, episode 1050 with my buddy Ron, who I don't even remember the last time you were on. I think it was like the 500s or 600s, but Ron's actually one of the only podcast guests who I actually knew before the podcast. Um, my life was super fucked up, and I think through somehow or another, I ended up following you on Instagram, and I think it was you. I ended up fat on drugs, living above my parents' garage, and I think I messaged you. I was like, "How do I get your life?" And you were like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm talking," and we just kind of became buddies. And uh, I reached out to you, I think right before Christmas, a couple weeks ago, about kind of explaining FTX to me because like a true ignoramus, I just bundle everything into groups of shit, and I assume that if someone's in that grouping, they know everything about it. Because I know that you're into trading, you have obviously your own channel about it, all your good shit about it. I just pawned it off on you. I was like, Ron knows what the FTX scandal is. He's going to explain it to me with never even never even consulting with you. I was just like, this is what we're doing now. And because you're a saint, you agreed. But Ron, my friend, introduce yourself because my introductions are always incompetent.
That's cool. I'm Ron. I go by Can't Sleep on the internet. That's the name I've been going on for the last like probably 6 or 7 years. So my YouTube channel is, and I'm just a day trader, stock trader. I trade all kinds. I primarily day trade stocks. I mean, I day trade, swing trade, and I've been long-term investing, but long-term investing is something that takes years to really master and know, right? So I don't consider myself like a true long-term investor yet because it's something that I'm still learning, right? But I day trade every single day, and I've day traded stocks for on the actual stock market. Now, I don't mess with crypto too much, and I don't know a lot about crypto because I've never believed in crypto.
Yeah.
I believe in like American companies, American business, and that's what I trade on the stock market. Stocks are backed by actual companies, where crypto is just pretty much just thin air and whatever else. So I've never believed in crypto. I've never really traded much of it. I do know a little bit what's going on in the crypto world because I hear news. I talk to a lot of people about trading, but primarily I day trade stocks like every single day that the stock market's open. And I have been trading full time for the past 8 years. Before that, I was like in the oil field, and I worked in the oil field for about 10 years. And that's where I'm at now. I own a company now where I teach people how to trade stocks. And that's just been something that's been growing, you know what I mean? So
Um, Before we jump into, and I always do this where I have like a theme for the episode scheduled, and then I instantly derail it. But um, what is the difference in that? I guess, and again, in my limited mindset, I see long-term investing as more of, I think it was Shaq. I think it was Shaq who was talking about right when he got signed in like the 90s or something. He's like, in Shaq's deep voice, he's like, first day I went out, he's like, bought like a Mercedes S class, came back, dad said he wanted one. So I got dad one. Came back, mom said she wanted one. So I got mom one. He's like, and I spent 900,000 of my $1 million. And then I realized that with taxes, I had only made 500,000. So before my first game in the NBA, I was 400 grand in debt. And he's like,
damn.
and I instantly realized like this is not a good. But he goes on to say, he's like, so I started meeting with it and people to manage my money because I decided early on I didn't want to, be one of the athletes that goes broke. And he's like, I met with this guy, and he said, we're doing this, that, the other thing. I didn't like it. I met with another guy, and he said, well, we're gonna do this. We're gonna be aggressive with that. He goes, and I didn't like it. He goes, and then I met this tiny little Jewish man. And he goes, we're going to invest in blue chip stocks and government bonds. And the interviewer goes, so who did you choose? And he goes, Shalom. And so, but his idea was he wanted someone that managed it, and it was in a very vanilla, unsexy manner for long-term investing. And it's interesting that you just said you're more interested in day trading, but you can almost track that trajectory again, right? Long term is more your Warren Buffett, seems much more vanilla, middle of the road. Day trading, I would imagine, is more exciting. And then you can almost extrapolate that again and say crypto is to day trading what day trading is to long term, and that it is truly just vapid ethereal based on nothing. I would imagine if it was a drug, it would be much more of a speedy, super high, super low.
I mean, I don't know. There's stocks that do that too, right? So like there's day trading in crypto too. A lot of people day trade.
Okay.
It's more like a long-term investment is something that you're buying, at least in the stock world, you're buying to sit on for almost your entire life. When you're buying a long-term investor looks at an investment as in like they're buying the company, they're buying part of the company. Because when you own shares of a company, you own part of that company.
Mhm.
You are an actual shareholder. So when you a real long-term investor, how you're supposed to long-term invest is you're supposed to do your research on the companies, find a company or companies that you like to buy shares and continue to accumulate those shares throughout your lifetime. Like some long-term investors will never sell their positions almost their entire life. Some do, but when you're long-term investing, you're looking to hold for like 20 years plus.
Okay.
You're looking for very long term. Now, like swing trading and day trading, now day trading is fast paced. Like I said, I hold long-term positions, but it's something that I'm not extremely familiar with yet because I'm still reading, I'm still learning through time. If my investments hold out, if they do good, the thing is, day trading is fast paced. It's like you have to buy and sell within that day to be considered a day trade. So if I'm day trading a stock, I'm going to buy shares today and sell them within a couple minutes or a couple hours, but I need to sell them within the day, and it is very fast paced. I mean, I'm scrambling, making trades so fast, like you can't even imagine like the math you have to do and everything you have to do so fast, right? Like, so today I traded a stock. I only made one trade today because I was getting prepared for this and I didn't see much that I liked. I made one
Fuck.
trade on
Did,
Rivian.
did I
I made like
did I mess up your trading?
no. I only
All right.
trade for 2 hours every day. I
Okay.
don't trade more than 2 hours a day. If I'm holding a position, I'll monitor the positions. But other than that, no, I make trades. I usually make anywhere from like 3 to maybe 10 trades. I've made 20 trades in a day before. Like today I traded Rivian. It was a stock and it's an automotive stock. I think an EV stock. I traded it for probably I wasn't even in it for 10 minutes. Maybe I made $1,200. It was like I actually shorted it. I shorted it. I didn't make as much as I was supposed to make. At least I thought I was going to make, but I followed my rules and I traded it and got out within 10 minutes. And so a swing trade is like in the middle. A swing trade is like something you're going to buy and sell within so many days. It has to be at least one day to consider a swing trade, or else it would be a day trade. Usually, a swing trade is you're gonna hold it from anywhere from a couple days to maybe like a few weeks. But now crypto, I'm sure there are long-term investors in crypto. Probably not too many anymore, but I know there was before like this FTX thing happened. There was like it was a big thing. People were probably planning on holding it for years. I'm sure there are still people holding Bitcoin for sure. You know, Bitcoin has been established, it's been around for a long time. It's probably a little bit safer bet than most of these other crypto coins and everything else. Um, but a long-term crypto trade would be the same thing, right? You're going to buy it and hold it for years and years and years. It doesn't have to be fast paced, it can be slow paced as well. But there are people that day trade crypto, futures, forex, all these different things, right?
So that's kind of again, you can see my own ignorance with this, and I had never really thought about that. I mean, stocks are I mean, I traded stocks in high school. Traded. I bought Apple and then sold it 4 years later. But
Yeah.
like, I hadn't thought of that's the thing. It's real. It's you look at it, and even the most uneducated, unaffiliated person can look at it. And I remember why I bought it because even 16-year-old me was like, dude, the iPhone's better than like everything else. And I was just like, I want to be right. It can be simple. I've been in a Tesla maybe 3 times, but even those, if I was investing, I would get in because I'm like, it's clearly like the next level, right?
For sure. It doesn't have to be super complicated. The
No,
hardest part about trading or any type of investing isn't so much the reason why a lot of people don't make money is because they cannot follow through with the plan, right? Like,
yeah,
so like you, if you had held Apple all this time, I don't know how much you would have made, but you probably would have made a lot of money.
yeah.
The thing is, people will plan on holding something. Like we've been in a bear market all year in stocks and in crypto. So that means that a bear market is when stocks go down for so long, right? The actual market's declining. It's been declining all last year. And during those times, long term investors or people that planned on holding for years and years and years, especially people that bought stocks in the past couple of years because stocks were at such high prices, like
Mhm.
during the pandemic. Can you imagine? Like, I think my uncle bought Tesla when it was like around 400 or something like that. I don't know. I can look at the chart real quick, but yeah, he bought Tesla when it was way up there. And the thing is, when you buy something that high, uh,
You have to hold
like,
on.
yeah, he bought it around like it was like three something, I think, because I think Tesla hit like 400 something. He bought it like pretty much at the top. He told me. Same thing with Apple. Well, when you buy something at highs and you're like a new investor to the market because he had never invested before, it was something he was just trying to do. And a lot of times people see that these stocks keep going higher and higher and higher and they get FOMO, right? They get the fear of missing out. They don't want to miss out on the stock going higher and higher. They've already missed out so many times. They're like, damn, man, I should have bought it
Yeah,
back then.
yeah,
I should
yeah.
have bought.
Get in, get
So
in, get
finally
in.
they get in pretty much when it's almost always when it's about to go down. So they get in and then they have trouble holding through all the turmoil, right? But if you're a long-term investor, that's something that you need to make a conscious decision of before you ever invest.
Beforehand.
You know that, hey man, this could go down tomorrow. It's okay. Like when you listen to Warren Buffett talk, he says he hopes the stock goes down after he buys in because he's going to accumulate
Buy
more shares.
more. Yeah.
Now, if you're day trading, you don't want to do that. It's completely different because the amount of shares you're buying are so enormous. If you just let a stock go, like let's say I bought Tesla and I was day trading it at $230 and I buy like 1,000 shares. Well, I'm not going to want to like let that thing sit for days and days and days because I'm buying such an enormous amount of
Mm.
shares. I'm just trying to capitalize on very small price fluctuations. So when you're like day trading a stock, you always set what's called like a stop. And a stop is a place that you're willing to get out of the trade if it goes against you, right? You have to minimize your losses. They have to be small and you want your winners to be bigger.
If it
So
starts to fuck
investors,
me, I'm gonna get out, even if I lose a
exactly,
little bit of
exactly.
money. Okay.
But people, even in day trading or whatever, if a day trading, the way they mess themselves up is because a lot of times it starts to go against them, and a lot of people will hold, and they'll hold where they weren't supposed to hold. They send us a stop placement where they're supposed to get out. They hold past that, and then they end up like losing thousands of thousands. By the time they're just so distraught and destroyed, they finally get out of the trade and they lose a bunch of money. And like long term investing would be pretty much the same thing. Like if my uncle got in at 330 and Tesla, well, right now Tesla's at $121, right? It's gone down like 70% since that price. So if you could imagine right now, if he exits, well, then he's just fucked himself on this long-term investment. He's actually lost money. Where if he holds right now, hopefully in the next few years, Tesla recovers and it moves back higher again, right? But it just, and you also need to diversify. You don't want to just buy one stock because what if that stock doesn't recover, right? But if you're investing in good, solid companies, where like you just said, you knew Apple, like people can see these companies. When you drive around town, they're like, how many are like lumber stores or like home improvement stores? How many is there? There's like two big ones. It's like Home Depot and Lowe's pretty
Lows.
much.
Yeah.
So you can just tell, the basic person can almost tell, like, and maybe these aren't like the best companies, but they've been around for years and years and years. They're established, have good management. They're probably going to recover. So that's the difference, and that's how people lose long-term investing.
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. What exists tends to persist. I
Yeah.
remember, I remember another Warren Buffett quote I had read when I was like 16, and he said, "If you don't understand it, don't invest in it." Now I don't understand, nanometer chip manufacturing, but even as a 16-year-old, I realized I was like, everyone wants the iPhone. If you have a flip phone, you're a jackass, and it's not just like a teenage thing. Like dad, business executive, they all get new and it's like, okay, there's something here. And then of course, then you always have that sort of like the CEO persona, like Steve Jobs and Elon. That helps as well. But everyone knew. And again, I mean, I remember like my friend was one of the only people, and this is like 2006, that had an iMac. Like his family's that was Docky and an iMac, and that was even then it was just like, oh, dude, we're going to his house, like fuck around with the iMac, and it was just you. Even now, when you're driving, you're lost in your own head, just cars, street lights, don't hit the homeless person. But what do you? I know I always do, but what do you see? Oh shit, there's Tesla. Even just that subconscious, what is that?
Yeah.
So, and then another thing I would have to imagine is that when you are doing that holding position, it's also that you're in a spot where you don't need all of that money.
Exactly.
You
For sure.
don't, you're putting that there as your investment because you've got your bills taken care of, your
Mm-hmm.
kids in school, your wife's whatever. You're not doing that as if you have $20, you should not be investing that $20. It
No,
should
for sure.
be, I've got a little nest egg. You're looking at 30 years. You've got your emergency fund, you've got your steady job. Seems like we're not going to nuclear war. Things are probably going to keep going in this normal direction,
Well, and
right?
that's kind of what happened with GameStop. So many people, and that's the thing where Buffett says, like, if you don't know it, don't invest. A part of that is because if you know a company and you do your due diligence and you do really know about a company, a company and you're confident in them, it gives you that ability to hold a lot more, right? Because then okay, well, look, I've done my research on this company, man. It does have a good CEO. Year over year, their earnings are good. Like they're gonna return. That gives you confidence to hold through that. Where a normal person, if they just buy into a stock and they have no idea, they're like, well, damn, maybe this company goes down and never comes back. And then like with the GameStop thing, when GameStop went up so high, people invested like their entire life savings, but they weren't planning on holding for 20 years or holding for so long, right? They were just thinking that this thing's going to keep going in the next couple days or months and get them rich. Well, now they're invested, you know what I'm saying? They're losing their entire life savings. And when you put money in that you or like taking out credit card loans to invest in this and now it's down, you're forced to sell almost. You're almost forced to liquidate because like you said, you didn't have that money to spend, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like a solid investment, you know?
That it's a desperation move,
Exactly, for
right?
sure. Yeah, it totally is.
Yeah, it's not.
It's gambling is what it is pretty much. It's like
Yeah,
you're just hoping that it goes higher.
yeah. I mean, my podcast is still like a very fledgling business. I have an emergency fund to where whatever, if you know, it just all goes to shit. I'm like, okay, I still have like 12 months of living. No part of me is like, what's my long-term position on US Steel? I'm still very, and I hope to be at that spot one day. But right now, I'm still very much I'm in a bedroom screaming at a microphone, emailing guests. Like, right, I'm still trying to put it together. So to kind of pivot from there, is that same sort of excitement people might get with a GameStop, that fear of missing out. I imagine that's what crypto is. And my logic has been I always have to be aware of myself. Like I'm 32. I'm like, I already don't understand most of technology. I can already see like the wave leaving me. I'm like, I don't do TikTok. I don't live stream. I don't fucking know what half the shit is. And I've accepted that. I'm now an old man. But when I hear about someone like me who does a podcast and has a biology degree, when I hear about you got to get into crypto, my first red flag is, well, one, why is anyone telling me this? Or they're probably making something. And two, by the time it's reached me, it has reached everyone else.
That's
I should
another
not know
Warren
about.
Buffett saying, man. That's when everyone's greedy, be fearful, and when everyone's fearful, be greedy, right? Because you start hearing about it from everybody, it's already too late, probably.
Something's
Most
fucked.
likely, and it might go up a little bit longer,
Sure.
but most likely, when everyone's talking about it, it's too late, right? It's like,
Yeah. And it's again, I'm very in tune with the podcast world. I know about all these weird companies that will host your video for free because I'm always searching for like new avenues. So if I hear about a change, I should probably act on that because this is what I do all day, every day. Versus if my mom hears about a new startup company, I
dude,
might be like, Mom, don't. Or not only that, I'll be like, yeah, I've been on there for 3 years. Like, okay, but so that's just my own red flag where I'm like, I don't know about crypto. I'm just, and by the time it reaches me, I'm like, something's fucked, or someone's making money off me thinking there's an opportunity.
for sure.
To pivot from there, is that is that what FTX, or I guess, and aside from Bitcoin seems to almost not be a crypto in that it seems, again, in my limited mindset, it seems to be moving more towards a stable thing.
Well, Bitcoin was like the first
It's
thing that
the
happened,
OG.
right?
Yeah.
Bitcoin was, yeah, the OG, and it was like the actual original, and that's the difference is since Bitcoin, like people will, like you just said, people will find ways to take advantage of people, and when they see opportunities like that, right, like Bitcoin moving higher, well, it creates like a frenzy. Then people are like, okay, well, look, Bitcoin's already too high. I don't want to buy Bitcoin. Well, then you start having all these people start starting these crypto coins and crypto businesses because they're like spin-offs, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to get people to make more money and make these crypto coins just like the next Bitcoin, right? It's like everyone's trying to get the next Bitcoin. And then it's like the thing is that with crypto is like really there is, in my opinion, at least, like I said, I don't know a ton about crypto because I really just haven't paid too much attention because it was like I don't think it's really backed on anything. It's more just like speculation, right? Like maybe there are some benefits for it, but there is no company, and some crypto companies probably have like assets like buildings and stuff like that that they may
Sure.
own because but it's not like something that's making money like I said, like a Home Depot or like a Tesla that's selling product.
Yeah.
These are not backed by tangible physical products or assets. And the thing is, what happened with FTX was that was kind of the thing. FTX was started, I think, in 2007. No, not 2017. Alameda Research was started by like Gary Wang and Sam Bankman-Fried, and then a few years later they started FTX, and then FTX was, I think, Alameda Research was a trading firm, I believe. It's a trading firm, and then FTX was the exchange. Okay, they started the exchange later on.
Okay.
Now, what happened was during that FTX thing is that they got all these like what are they, celebrities and stuff to promote
Mm-hmm.
their products, to promote
Tom
FTX.
Brady. Yeah.
People started giving them all their money, and then they found out later on that a lot of that money had been transferred over to Alameda Research. And Alameda, what they were doing was using customers' funds from FTX to trade with Alameda Research. So Alameda Research is like a trading firm. So they're actually actively placing trades, just like how I am. You know what I'm saying? Trying
Sure.
to make money. What I speculate, like I'm not for sure, but I can't see why things would be going south with Alameda Research, or Alameda Research, or whatever it's called. The only thing I can think is that maybe the guy started placing some bad trades, or maybe when the market started falling, it was a little bit harder to make money. Maybe he started making bad judgment calls, or maybe he just never was a good trader. Maybe they weren't making that much money. So in turn, instead of making money for their customers, they started losing money and started taking it out of FTX. And then what they were doing is getting celebrities and everybody to invest into
Keep
FTX and buy
pumping.
FTX or FTT tokens, which was the FTX token, and used all their customers' money pretty much to fund the trading with Alameda Research. And no one knew this at the time until I think Bloomberg, or somebody was like Bloomberg or CoinDesk, created some sort of I think Bloomberg reported that there was like a close relationship between Alameda and FTX. And then once they kind of did that, they also came up with something and cited something. The Wall Street Journal said that FTX lent its customers funds to Alameda. So then that's when it kind of started like bringing awareness to what was going
Mm.
on. And then I think it was like CoinDesk reported that a significant portion of Alameda's assets were held in FTT, which is the FTX token. And that's when it all started kind of going downhill, right? And then Binance, it said something like it was going to sell all of its FTT tokens when the news came out. Well, Binance held a significant share, and once Binance leaked that news, it created like a scare, and people started selling. And within 3 days, I think it went like 80% of the value got lost in FTX. And then that's when the investigations came in, and they started investigating Sam Bankman-Fried. And then I think when they arrested him, they arrested that Caroline Ellison. I think she was like the CEO of FTX, or the CEO of Alameda. And her and that Gary Wang guy, what they did was they actually like pretty much pled guilty to the charges
Sure.
and became rats. Pretty much, I'm saying they pled guilty and said they would cooperate. And then that's when they went and got Sam Bankman-Fried, and now he's sitting on house arrest at his parents' house.
What a
So,
fall.
oh man, I mean, it's crazy. So that to me was just a big scam almost the whole time, probably. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not for sure because I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But I
Sure.
don't know what they were doing. But I think the new CEO that they brought in after Sam Bankman-Fried, he actually resigned as CEO, and they brought in this new guy, and he did a bunch of research, and they said that he's never seen something like, he was involved in the Enron crash, and he said he's never seen something like they were not keeping books. I think they were using QuickBooks, just regular QuickBooks, to keep track of these billions of dollars. All right.
Jesus.
So I mean, yeah, his name was John Ray the third, I guess, and he was the guy who said that yeah, he's never seen such a complete failure of corporate controls, and such a complete absence of trustworthy financial information that occurred. So he's
Yeah, that's the fact that it now looks, and obviously we're speculating wildly.
yeah, for sure.
Um, that this is coming out to me says that it's like the first time I ever got caught drinking, and I got like arrested, and I was under 18, so the cops were cool enough to just be like, call your parents, which to me was a death sentence. And I called my parents at like 3 in the morning. I was 17. They came and picked me up. And you try to convince them that, oh, this is the first time I've ever drank. Oh, really? The first time you get caught, and it's the first. That's interesting. A year later, when you get caught smoking pot, oh, this is the first time I've ever smoked pot. No, I think you're fucking lying to me, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So to me, this kind of looks like this thing was a scam the whole time. And as an uninitiated, my logic then tends to creep towards how many of these things are just houses of cards.
Well, for sure. And they even said that that's what's like causing this was the initial thing that caused like the crypto collapse, right? It was like FTX started, and then I think there was more than like a few different over 100 companies, like 100 crypto companies. They all claimed bankruptcy. And this was like, and then
Jesus.
that's why you've seen a lot of the crypto falling because I think people are realizing, hey man, like how many of these are scams?
Just yeah.
Right? Or how many of these are, we don't even know. That's the thing. And that's the thing with these type of businesses or these type of speculation. That's all it is really, is speculation, right? When people are, and that's what scared me when I first started hearing about crypto and stuff. Everyone was always asking me, are you doing crypto? Are you investing in crypto? And I was like, no, man, because I just don't see what it is. Like, what is it? Right? Like it's
It,
there's nothing there to me, it's just
and that's
it's like the NFTs. It's the same thing pretty much. I mean, NFTs at least still have NFTs never made sense to me because I could, well, you're a Photoshop wizard, man. I mean, you could like, who's
I can
gonna
make
tell
it.
you? I just
Yeah,
don't get it, like,
yeah.
but
And then that's that's like another thing where like part of me I always have to be I always have to assume that just because I don't understand something doesn't mean that it's stupid. I always have to
yeah,
be
for sure.
humble and be like, maybe I'm too stupid to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
My my problem is this is I don't I think I'm probably around average intelligence. For like a college educated male, I think I'm probably around average. I don't think I'm a savant. I also don't think I'm a knuckle dragger. That being, and I've had people on here, this show, from Delta Force to you talking about day trading to doctors talking about microbiology to astronauts and chip manufacturers and 3D printers and power lifters and sci-fi authors and musicians, everything. Within an hour, I can kind of do what I'm doing with you now and just throw out my own stupid conceptions and they'll tweak it and push it. And I can start to see the shape. And I go, oh, well, I chose biology in college to study. I think I could have studied chemistry. I think I could have studied calculus. I decided not to. But you can start to look at it and go, I've never played a guitar in my life. If I put my mind to it, I'm sure I could figure out how to play
For
guitar.
sure, man. For sure.
I just don't want to. My problem, I say all that to say, my problem with crypto is I've probably dedicated 20 to 30 episodes over the past 2 years to someone coming on and just explaining it like I'm five.
Mm-hmm.
To date, I have not had anyone describe it in a manner that I thought was even remotely I could. And who knows? I also don't understand quantum physics, so I admit this could very well be a limitation of my own computational power. I have yet to have someone explain it. True masters, Dr. Malone, who invented the mRNA vaccine, he's been on here 15 times. He can describe something as esoteric as that. In an hour and a half, he can make you start to go, oh, okay, I get the idea.
Yeah, for sure.
No one has been able to describe it in sort of ABC 1, 2, 3s to me.
Yeah.
It's everyone's kind of, it's this loose, foggy, and ultimately I just conclude I'm like, oh, you're just beating me over the head for money. Like that's what this is. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
fucking me, right? So
Yeah.
that's my hesitation is like, and then the other thing is even a even a steel mill, right? They could be they could embezzlement, fraud, even that you can still sell the physical building. You can strip everything down for scrap metal. You can take the machinery and go sell it to some other industrial base. There is something. You still have skilled workers that can now go work at an automotive plant. There's nothing here. It's just it's shadows, it's reflections and echoes, which I guess to me that of course something as malleable and ethereal as that, of course it's going to lead to a scam. Like why
Oh, for
wouldn't
sure.
it?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people like, they see certain benefits in it, like maybe, and to me, they're not like positive benefits. I mean, like ways to launder money or things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
like people they like it because it can't be tracked as easier. It couldn't before. I mean, I don't know if it can now, but what I've
Yeah.
heard is they can track things. So I think that's all I've ever heard that was like the positive things about it. It's like, oh, like maybe for like drug lords and shit
Maybe
like
for
that, you know, but
CIA doing black ops in
I
Guatemala,
don't
it
know, you
makes
know. So
sense.
yeah, I mean, and there's people who understand it a lot more than me. I don't understand much about crypto, but I've never really, like I said, the same thing with you. Everything I ever heard of it, to me, if I'm going to put my money in something, I'll put my money in American companies or companies that are backed by something. You know what I mean? It's like,
It's it seems like horseshit.
yeah,
Is just my is just like I look at my own podcast and how it's growing slowly but growing. And I can see it and I can go, oh, if I stick with this and put in enough of my own blood, sweat, and tears, it's gonna work. It's gonna create something. Now, all that being said, you might also be someone that's like looking at crypto and going, yeah, it's all complete horseshit. But I've got a disposable $10,000.
oh yeah, if you got
Yeah,
money,
go play the lottery. Who gives a shit?
yeah,
If you've got $1 million in the bank, what the fuck do you care?
yeah, exactly. If you got money, man, then all the
Go,
power to you. If you
yeah,
got a
go.
lot of money, but even still, like I'm not going to throw any money into it because, like I said, I could put it into a stock that I really believe in.
Sure,
So, but I mean, I don't see anything wrong with people taking chances or taking shots here and
sure,
there.
yeah,
I
well,
mean, the
sure,
risk worth the reward. If you can risk $1,000 and maybe get 10,000, but I wouldn't be putting all my money into crypto hoping that it go. That's just greedy, is what it is. It's greed, and it's just the same thing happens with stocks though. People will put money in stocks and then sell out, like the GameStop thing, or they'll sell their
hmm
positions. They still lose money doing stocks too. It's not like it's guaranteed to make money all the time either, you know. Like, but it's a to me it's a better risk. If I'm actually planning on like holding for a long term, then I would feel a lot safer myself investing in real companies and things that I know I can see them with my own eyes. Like you said, you can see a Tesla driving down the road. You
yeah,
know, I don't know anything of crypto that like has any physical, assets. You know, I just
yeah.
don't know anything like that. So
Even something that is like, even something that is like super cutting edge, right? Like Meta buying Oculus Rift, the VR goggles. That still doesn't seem to be fully matured, but we're definitely in 5 years and 10 years, we're heading that way, right? Full immersion
for
video games.
sure,
I mean,
for sure,
that's undeniable. A SpaceX, a Blue Origin, still gambling, but I mean, anyone with a brain knows, yeah, that's the next frontier. First you go across the ocean and then you move west, then you discover the air and air travel and air cargo. The next step is, well, how do we get to orbit? How do we, and then there's going to be mining wars and taking over at that's the granted, though sci-fi esque, it's happening. And again, it's a physical, it's that your caveman mind can grab it. There's steel, there's rocket fuel. It goes up. It's carry. It's very like, oh, it is a thing. At the very least, I can still bludgeon someone with my iPhone. Even if it doesn't
yeah,
work,
for
it's at
sure.
least a tool for the apocalypse, right? The comedian Tim Dillon said that about the Ridge Wallet. He goes, even this is during the pandemic, he goes, even if the money system collapses, this is still a sharp piece of metal. You can cut your family's throats and take their food. Like, right? So
Well, and with stocks, man, you can see, like, you can actually look at these companies' balance sheets. You can look at
yeah.
their financial information. It's just like me and you. If I'm selling so much product and I'm only spending so much, and you can see that there's like a net income all the time, then you can see that with your own eyes, right? So if you can see that and you're investing in a company that's making money, well, then, I mean, most likely that company is going to grow and continue to make money like that because they have things figured out, right? Where I don't know if you can look at crypto and see that kind of stuff. So,
No. And the only
like,
thing that sorry,
no, go
go
ahead.
on. I was gonna say the only thing that I could ever see with it is it's kind of like the idea that the United Arab Emirates is looking, they're looking 10, 20, 30 years and seeing the end of fossil fuels. And that's why they're essentially making their entire country like a Las Vegas, just skyscrapers and indoor mountains in the desert full of snow. And they're turning it into Las Vegas on steroids because they know when oil eventually is no longer the thing, just like timber is no longer the main fuel source. One
Yeah.
day it will be in the past. They're taking it and going, well, what can we build that is still a thing? The only way I could ever get behind a crypto is this someone ballooned the value of it and then at the peak took it and turned it into like a mutual fund of GE and Tesla and Apple and Nvidia and Walmart. That's the only way I could ever see it is buy into it so you can own a disproportionate share of a mutual fund of physical things.
Well, and I also think what people like, you got to think like currencies. Currencies are a thing that people invest in. I've never invested in currencies, but people do. And so I think a lot of people are also investing in it, thinking that it's going to be like the future of our currency, right? Like they're maybe one day they eliminate the US dollar and everything goes to a worldwide crypto dollar. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't, but that's, I've heard that before, right? Like people, like, this is the future, like you got to invest now because if you don't, it's going to keep going up. And
My critique of that is, hey, and I'm all for, being bold and pushing the final, whatever, all the fucking cliches. But like, I've read enough history to understand not for or against it, just an observation. I have no doubts that the sun is going to set today. It's happened every day of my 32 years. I'm very confident it's also going to rise tomorrow.
for sure.
The US dollar is mistakenly said to be backed by nothing. No, it is backed by a multi-trillion dollar globally reaching military. It is no longer backed by gold, it is backed by something much more fearsome. Jets and satellites in Delta Force and the 17 intelligence agencies that we know about, and a Pentagon with nuclear bunkers that can survive all sorts of holocausts. That that is very real. I don't know. I don't know who in their right mind thinks they're usurping that system. And who knows? Maybe I'm just a beta cuck. But hey, man, I think JFK tried to issue. I think that was his last bill. Is he tried to issue silver-backed currency, and then I think LBJ signed on the plane back to DC with the wife of JFK and the body of JFK. He signed a bill undoing that. Andrew Jackson, right? I killed the bank, but somebody tried to assassinate him and had two misfired guns. I mean, every time we've tried to approach usurping, it is what it is, man. It's the great white shark. It's the apex predator. There are other predators and there are other inferiors and superiors, but nothing in the ocean tries to take on the black eyes of a great white shark. There is something in me that just goes, dude, that that flag is also the most hardcore gang sign ever. You're not replacing the gravy train. And I'm not saying that's good. It's clearly abused as a power source. I don't know who in their right mind thinks that we're just an upstart from Silicon Valley and we're going to displace the petrodollar.
For sure.
No, when people try to do that, their countries ironically all of a sudden need some freedom and get bombed into the Stone Age. Uh, that's, hey, wishful thinking, I guess, but I don't, it's not being replaced. Uh, just my 2 cents.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you, man. I mean, I don't know too much about politics and stuff, but or like even history, but I mean, I know that just what from what I've seen, I can't get behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not, and if it does come about, it'll be because they're the ones using it. So
And yeah, and like I said, and if you want to throw some of your money into it, then why not? You know what I'm saying?
sure.
It's a
Yeah, you
small
got an
gamble,
extra buck,
but I
buy a
definitely
scratch
wouldn't
off.
be investing my entire life savings into something like that.
I will invest $2 when the Powerball goes over $1 billion
For sure.
because it's not enough to even cover my daily groceries. But the payoff is what, 100,000%, 1,000,000%, but
Exactly.
and the other thing that gets me again is that immediate 80% decline in value. Like you shouldn't. I understand market. I know Great Depression, reset. I understand that, but that's the whole market goes down, right?
And that's not in a matter of days either, right? Like this, they said that there was a huge sell-off within 3 days in this cryptocurrency. And then I think when Binance said that they were gonna purchase FTX to help with like the liquidity crisis. They said they were gonna try to help like bail customers out. They were gonna actually purchase FTX. But first they would do like their due diligence. Well, they came back the next day and said that they were not going to purchase it anymore because of
Just
what they found. And that's when it dropped 80% in a day, in one day. So in one day for something to drop 80% is pretty extreme, right? Like, I mean, I've seen stocks on the stock market because I trade a certain type of like stocks that are gap a lot, right? They're called gappers. They're stocks that when you go to sleep, they're at like $20. You wake up the next day, they're at like $100 or $50, right? They can move hundreds of percent overnight. Um, but the thing is, and you do see sometimes companies that you'll wake up the next day, but usually that's like, it's not a big company. Usually, and there are sometimes like, let's see what Facebook, I think, gap down pretty big. Let me see real quick, because there
All
are
right.
companies that do lose an extreme amount of money overnight, but usually it's like little um biotechnology companies that are just like that nobody knows anything about, and somehow they shot up because biotechs do that. But no, I think Facebook only lost like 23% overnight pretty much. But and it's lost well over, fuck, I mean, since the decline, man, it was down at 75% or around 75 to 80% at one point. But that's all year, right? That's within a full year of selling since last. I think the high was around last September, and this was to this November, 75 to 80%, right? So, but that's not overnight usually. And usually, like I said, if it's something like that, it's because something extreme happened and it's like some kind of company that really nobody knows about. But like a large cap, a big corporation losing that much overnight is usually unheard of.
Yeah. And even Facebook where it's like there's no real physical product.
But they still have a lot of physical assets, like
Sure.
like buildings and things like that.
Sure.
And then even their website alone, you have to think how much advertising and costs and
Well,
everything it makes. Like it's
and that's what I was gonna say is like, sure, they've got, however many buildings. Okay, they've got servers, but they've been around. I mean, they're despite being a social media, they are starting to, they get a little old, but they have that like a Home Depot or a Lowe's. It's like if Facebook has been in like my vocabulary since middle school. It's
Well, and
followed me
Facebook's
from
not going to lose all of its users overnight. You know what I'm saying?
correct.
Like, and as
It's
long as those users are there, you can advertise. There's going to be
and you
money.
can yeah, and you can no matter how much you might hate Facebook, the reality is it's still it is a billboard. It is a billboard space
Oh,
that puts
dude,
Times Square to
Facebook
shame.
is huge for
Yeah,
marketing and stuff, and for companies trying to sell products. Like, it's huge.
absolutely. So even something like that, it has already started to move its claws into somewhat of a real world. Sure,
Mhm.
it could lose all of its advertising capability, but that also means the internet's gone, which
Yeah, for
means
sure.
that something
Exactly.
much bigger has happened,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So even them shifting into like an Oculus Rift, it's like, well, now we have physical assets,
Yeah.
right? And then
I'm
obviously,
sure they're working on expanding multiple different places. I
of
mean,
course,
probably
yeah,
things we don't even know about.
Zuckerberg's not dumb. You don't have to like him. He's not dumb, right? Not
And even
you,
just look
Ron,
at
but
the
yeah,
people that work with him, right? I mean, these are all intelligent, well, for the most part, and people can hate on them. I mean, I understand the whole, fuck you, is it Mark Zuckerberg, whatever. But the thing is, these are intelligent people that got there for a reason,
yeah,
and they've been around doing what they do for a long time, and they're going to do whatever they can to protect their
yeah,
company.
yeah. And then there are some people that are like, well, Facebook's propped up by the intelligence agencies so that they can surveil you. Well, then it still has, I would argue, it has more staying
Exactly.
power.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who? Oh, so it's not backed by physical. It's not backed by physical confidence. It's backed by the full faith of the CIA.
Yeah.
Invest more. It's
Mhm.
not fucking. Oh, who's taking away the agency's surveillance? You? No. It buy more, right? Um.
And even if like it was, you got to think like if Facebook was 75% like lower than it's like it was at last year, it was at like a high of like around it was around a high of around $400, I think, maybe a share. It was like, let's see. Facebook on the highs was at 384 per share right now. Like this month, it was at a low of 88. Like that's a pretty good opportunity, in my opinion,
mhm.
because the drastic drop in price, like that's something that is actually a good opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And maybe not, I mean, if it keeps going lower, of course, it'd be a better opportunity. But still, if you can purchase something that's at 75% of
Yeah.
its original value, or 25% of its original value, I guess. Why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Like that to me is a good opportunity.
Yeah. Hey, Ron, real quick, tell everybody where to find your channel and your social media. I'm gonna go piss.
All right. Yeah, you can find my social media on YouTube. You can find it under the name Can't Sleep. It's KANT space SLEEP. On Instagram, I've just started a new Instagram. I have other Instagrams under the same name, but I just started a new Instagram for my company, and it's called Wall Street Sicarios. It's Wall Street And then Sicarios is Sicarios. So wallstreetsicarios.com is my website. That's where I sell my trading course and where I teach people how to trade stocks. You can also find me on Reddit under Can't Sleep 13, where I've made around 1,000 posts or more, and I have some educational information there as well.
But so I think I guess the unsexy wisdom from it all is if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And yeah, to grow it, it's probably not some sexy, oh, you're just one trade away from being, no, it's probably a lot of daily work and baptism by fire and takes you a long time to master it.
Oh,
It
with
just
anything, even with
yeah.
day trading, the thing is like you'll see a lot of people like, so I created this course that I sell now. That's I'm starting to sell it. I just finished the course the other day actually. I've been making it for the last 2 years.
Hell yeah.
But the thing is you'll see a lot of people market these courses to people and be like, oh, like you're gonna make money overnight. You're gonna make money overnight. Like I never ever want to make that. I never make posts like that. I never make any kind of social media like or videos that say like, oh, you can make this so fast, right? Like the reality of any type of trading, especially day trading, it takes a lot of work, even with a course. Like I have taken quite a few courses. I've been personally mentored by people. My mentor lives in California. He's been doing it for probably 20 years. And it took me, even with courses, with mentoring, and I'm talking like an extreme amount of work. Like I've taken over 10,000 trades and I've tracked almost every single trade. And when I track the trade, like let's say today I make a trade, well, I'll input that into a spreadsheet.
Mhm.
I'll track that every single way that like how much the stock moved for me, how much it went against me, how much it went for me in my favor before it came back against me, and then how much it just like every single way you can track these
Every
trades.
metric.
Where a lot of work and a lot of experience. And the main thing is, and then there's a lot of studying, reading books, like learning how to develop these things, learning how to just to use the trading platform. Like people want to get going and they'll come in. Like I used to run my chat room and I had tons of people in there trading. And it's crazy. These new traders coming in, they're like, hey, what should I do? What should I do? And it's like, man, the first thing you need to do is learn how to use your trading platform, because if you're in a trade or you're trying to place a trade, you can make mistakes a lot, right? Like you can enter a one extra zero and you've bought an extreme, like if you're trying to buy 150 shares, you enter one extra zero, now you're buying 1,500 shares, right? So
Yeah.
that trade can turn into a huge loss if it goes against you, or if you don't know how to get out of the trade. So when you set your stop price, if I bought a stock at $50 and I wanted to get out at 51 if it went against me, and I just don't know. Like this one guy messaged me one day. He's like, how do I get out of this trade? How do I get out of this trade, man? I entered this trade. And I'm like, well, where did you get in and all this stuff? And I've got to talk to him. Well, the rate at like some of these stocks move in an extremely fast price, right? Like some of the stocks that I trade, like certain biotech companies, they'll move a couple dollars within a few seconds sometimes.
Jesus.
So if you can't get out in time or you don't know how to properly use that platform, you could end up losing a lot of money, right? There's so many little things you have to learn. And the main thing is just experience and getting that like discipline, like learning how to deal with the emotions. And that's the hardest part of trading. Like when you're sitting there and it's not even just losing money, but making money, right? Like you want to let these trades ride higher and higher.
Mhm.
You could go from being up, like, let's say I was trading using like $1,000 risk. I make a trade. I'm up like $1,000. Well, then I'm up like $2,000 a couple seconds later. But then if you don't exit that trade right at the right time, that trade might be back down to zero pretty quick, and then you've lost money on it, or you haven't made anything on it. Well, the thing is, like, this is about odds, and you need to hit a certain amount of wins, right? If you
Mhm.
don't, they won't be more than your losses. So if I'm losing on two trades, losing $1,000 on each one, and then I make this trade, and that could be the trade that actually profit, like that made me a profit, right? Like, so if I lose 2,000 on two trades, and then I'm in this trade, I'm up $3,000. A lot of times people get greedy. They're up 30,000, but instead of taking the profit, they want to hold to it. Well, now that thing comes back down to zero, or they'll even let it go against them. They take a loss. Well, now you've just fucked up your whole
Yeah.
everything, your statistics, because now you're down $3,000, but you should have actually profited 1,000 on the difference, right? From the two losses and the one win. So there's a lot that goes into this that's really just experience, like with your emotions and being able to follow through with the plan that you set, just like we were talking
Mhm.
about the long-term investing. So when I make a trade, I know where I'm going to get in. I know how much I'm going to risk. I know where I'm going to get out if it goes against me. And I know where I'm going to get out if it goes for me. And if I'm trying to ride it even higher than that, then I have a plan to take profits, like at least half of my position size, take it off at a
Remove it.
certain amount and then let it ride, or set a stop, move my stop up. So if it comes back down lower, I still get out with a little bit more profit, right? Like there's strategies that take time to really like it. Like when I first started trading, man, I already traded for probably 3 years. I remember going through, it took me around like 4 years of solid trading. And I'm talking like a lot of education, a lot more work than most people put in. I would sit here for like, and I'm not like the smartest guy in the world. I didn't go to college. Like I went to college for like a half a semester, but it wasn't any special classes.
Sure.
And I'm just a regular guy, right? I worked in the oil field. So the thing is, it really helps to after 4 years, going back to it, after 4 years of trading is probably when I started to consistently finally make money. I had consistent bouts where I made money for a few months and then I'd probably give it back, or I made money for 6 months even, and then I'd give it all back within a month or two.
Mm.
Because I remember one time I'd call my dad and I'd be like, man, I would have made so much money today if I had have followed my plan, right? It's like I would get in these trades and immediately almost like get myself out with a small profit, or I'd let it run a little bit, it'd come back against me, I'd get myself out with a small loss. But I always knew during those times that I had a place where I was supposed to get out and a place where I was supposed to get out for profits. And I would just never follow the rules. I just couldn't do it, man. It's like, even after years of trading and doing it, you get to these points sometimes where you're like, you want to follow the rules. It's called, like, we call it getting mentally hijacked or emotionally hijacked. It's when you have a plan, you've made this plan, you get in, but then you see the money fluctuates. And so when I trade, I don't even look at how much I'm making. I keep that on a completely separate screen. I
Yeah.
just go for the targets that I have set and the plan that I made now, right? It took me years to really get that down. I'm talking like, I didn't think I was going to make it for a long time, man. I was like, because I would have bouts of consistency. I knew I could do it, but then I'd get into these small periods of maybe a month or two or a few weeks where I just could not, for the life of me, man. I don't know what it is or why. It's just experience. I think it's experience watching these charts over and over and over again and placing these trades and getting in and out. And that's where I actually think day trading is a beneficial thing, even for long-term investing, because when you're used to making, like, I've made thousands of trades. Now I've sat through this emotion. I've sat through all the emotions. I've monitored the trades. I've researched a lot. So now when I make a trade, like, I'm in a long-term position right now, and it's actually been doing better than most of the market this year. And I don't even care if it goes down anymore. I sit there and follow the plan I had. I have it written down like on my chart. I have a separate screen where I write down all the things like for my long-term positions or swing trades. And that's it, man. If it happens how I planned on it happening, then that's what happens. If it doesn't, then I get out of the trade, right? Like if it comes back to where it's supposed to be and I'm supposed to take the loss, I get out at the loss. If it hits my target, I get out the target. If not, I just sit in the trade until it happens and plays out. It's just, you have to do. That's the hardest part about trading, is just your emotions and discipline. Like that helps with that, right? Like if you're a person who you can't lose weight, or you can't quit smoking, or you let these things control your life. If you're a person who goes to the casino and cannot stop themselves from throwing money away, right? Like these things transfer over to your trading. If you're a very disciplined person, and when you say you're going to lose 50 pounds, you're going to lose that 50 pounds. When you, like, you're a pretty disciplined person. I think I can tell. Like I can look at you and you can tell that you work out every day.
Hmm.
That's a very disciplined person. Like it's very rare that you see like people that are out of shape a lot that are day traders. And if they do, I'd kind of be weary of that, because
Um,
like it is like, and long-term investing,
yeah.
like I said, is different. But even in long-term investing, there's a reason why Warren Buffett and there's very few like long-term investors that are known for making billions of dollars, because even long-term investors probably suffer from the same type of things, right? It's maybe a little bit harder to be undisciplined, because long-term trading, if you buy into long-term trades and you can hold for a certain amount of time, you're likely to make money. It's the easiest form of trading, but it's just the longest form, right? It takes way longer to make money, but it is the easiest form of trading because you can almost just always hold. And most of the time, if you bought into a good company, it's going to go back up. Whereas day trading, you have to be quick, and swing trading, you have to exit. There is no like buying Tesla at 220,000 or $220 a share, and now you're sitting at 85 or something like that. And it's like, you've already lost too much. And especially with the amount of shares you buy, like you're not planning on, these aren't long-term investments like we talked about earlier. So you have to be extremely disciplined to be like a day trader or like a swing trader. You need to be able to follow through. Like if you're going to go run every day and you're the type of person who says, I'm going to run every day at 5 a.m. and you do it, well, then that's a type of person who makes a good day trader or a good swing trader. People that can be very, very disciplined, right? Other than that, like that's the hardest part of trading is discipline. You learn the knowledge and you can, anyone can look at a chart, man. I bet you could look at a stock chart and say, man, this thing's about to go up. It's just, you can see it. But it's the difference is the people that know how to execute what's in their mind, and they can actually execute those emotions and or execute those trades and avoid their emotions getting in the way. That's the people that make good traders, right? That's the hardest part of trading is being disciplined. And a lot of that comes from experience and comes from doing things that other people aren't willing to do. Like how I said, I track my trades. Like I've shown people what I do on these spreadsheets sometimes, and they've been like, man, I've never seen anybody do that. That's because most people don't do that. But that's what changed my trading from being a losing trader to a winning trader. Was I needed some way to convince myself and to give myself confidence to be able to follow these rules. And the only way I could do it, like I could look at it over and over, but it's odd when you're seeing something happen so many times, your brain has like an odd way of remembering like certain things, like gratifying things. Like let's say I made money on a certain type of trade. One day, let's say I made $4,000 on this trade setup, is what we call them, right? It's like a certain type of pattern you see. You take the trade. Let's say I made $4,000, but over time, I've lost more than I've made. For some reason, your brain's going to remember just making that 4,000 that one time. It's going to remember that big win. And when you're making so many different trades, you cannot, in your brain, you just can't track them all. You can't remember if you lost so many more. Like it's like rolling the dice. Like you can't remember if you rolled 6 times, rolled sixes more than you've rolled threes over millions of trades or thousands of trades, right? If you track them on a spreadsheet, you can clearly see the data. Like, look, man, I get sixes way more than I get threes. Like every time I trade, it's like the same thing with a stock. Every time I trade this pattern, I can get a 3-to-1 winning ratio on it. It's like, or maybe I lose 50% of the time, but on the 50% I do win, I can get a 3-to-1 most of the time. If you can see that data off all the trades you've taken, you can prove that to yourself, right? Because it's there in front of you. You can see the numbers. So next time you take that trade, you're not kind of going off of like your memory or what you remember, because your memory is going to trick you a lot of times. So you
Mhm.
go off of the solid numbers. And that's what I did. I started tracking all of my trades on that spreadsheet in different ways as well, but I really tracked them. So I knew, okay, look, every single time I take this trade, like 60% of the time I can hit this target. Okay, like 80% of the time I can hit this target. I only lose 30% of the time, a full loss, right? When you know these numbers, next time you're in that trade and you start getting antsy, you just remember that data, or you look at the spreadsheet, like, look, it's right there in front of my face, man. If I lose on this trade, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It only happens 30% of the time. The next one I'll get it, right? And if I don't get on the next one, the next one will. Those numbers give you the confidence, but that's where a lot of people don't put in the work to get those numbers, or they won't put in the work to do. They won't put in the work. That's how it is. So that's what's hard about trading.
I have, I think I've showed you. I started the podcast December 12th, 2019. I have an Excel spreadsheet of every single day. It's about it's about 50. I don't think it's quite 2 alphabets, right? column A, B, C. I think I'm up to like QZ, so not quite 52 columns
Yeah.
of BitChute, Odyssey, Spotify, Rumble, Brighteon, CloutHub. There are likes, there are view time, there's duration, there's subscribers, there's pennies earned, there's
Mm-hmm.
how this stuff goes. And to me, it is very much turned into a discipline thing where you stop looking for the giant guest. Every once in a while, you see the target of opportunity. Right? It's spending the dollar on the $1 billion Powerball. Yeah, fuck it. Send him an email. Who cares? What happened? Maybe you'll get him, and it's cool. But I'm doing this for 37 months tomorrow. Instead, you start to look at the very long, because you cannot remember 1,000 rows of
No, you
52
can't. That's what I
columns.
mean.
It's
Yeah.
beyond, and I have an OCD mind. Like
Mhm.
I can memorize a lot. I can't touch it.
No.
And so, but what I can do is I can look at and I can then visualize it, right? Just turn it into a chart. You can go, if I keep doing what I'm doing, I look at it as like my daily routine is just it's just another building block into making a skyscraper. Wake up, go to the gym, listen to an audiobook while you're at the gym so you have something to talk about if the conversation goes stale, or get the author. Uh Come back, shower, meditate, get your mind clear, do the podcast, do a second podcast. And I know I can top out around 2. Maybe if it's again targets of opportunity, you can pull off 3, but more than that, you don't want to burn yourself out because it's a long-term thing. I could probably knock out 20 podcasts in a week if I wanted to. That's not sustainable. I know I can do 8 to 10 a week. And if you do that and then you track it over the weeks and months, yeah, it goes like that. It goes like
Yeah,
that. But the long-term trending for the last 3 years, every year it's grown by 1,000% relative to the year to date prior.
hmm
And I look at that and I always, as slow and as sluggish as it is, I always think, and it's kind of funny because you are a stock trader. I always joke like, if I could show an investor guaranteed 1,000% increase every year, they'd be like, "What are you complaining about? Keep
Yeah, for
fucking
sure.
working."
For sure.
And so, like you, I have to have that discipline. And sometimes you have a week where you get 30% less views on Spotify, and you cannot for the life of you figure it out. But after you've been doing it for 156 weeks, you go, "That's fine. I know it's going to keep trending." Then a month or two goes by, and sure enough, it's going up. And you go, "Stay the course, stay the course." And it allows you to do and when you start to feel unconfident, you're not sure, it's less of your emotions of, am I going to make it? Instead, you just start looking at the hard data and you go,
Yep.
it's it's gone up. It's gone up for the last 3 years, 1,000% each year. Just stick to it. Don't tweak it here and there. Sure, go for 1,010%, but just stick to it. And then so eventually you kind of hit this point where you go, oh, so I just have to stay with it. Yeah, that's not the sexy answer. The sexy answer is, how do I make it 10,000%? No, you have to understand that the real challenge comes from, can you stick with it? And then if you can just dig deep and stay with it, your intellect no longer matters. You go, now we're just back to caveman strength, back to
Yep.
the oil fields. I'm back to the gym.
Exactly.
I'm a meathead at heart. I interview doctors and shit, but I
Mhm.
look at it as just like, get to the end of the set, grit your teeth, don't be a pussy, push harder. The people around you will eventually start to fall away. And then you're like, oh, I just got to outlast them. And it starts to go. And then you hit the point where someone comes up to you and they go, what's the secret? And you're like, dude, there is no secret. Just
Well,
blind work ethic.
and a lot of times that outlasting them comes from you looking at the data and have where they don't. And that's
Knowing,
what I
knowing
mean.
it
Putting in the
goes.
work where other people don't. When other people don't, they will fall off, right? There's a lot of people you might even see that you think, oh shit, this guy's growing faster than me. But then a lot of times they might hit a spot where they don't know what to do and they're just like, damn, nothing works anymore, and they drop off or
Just
they
quit.
exactly. And if as long as you keep looking at that data and it gives you that confidence, and I don't think that an undisciplined person can't become disciplined. I've
Sure.
watched it happen with my own family. I've watched it happen with me when I was younger, to where I am now, right? But like I've seen complete changes in people. But I think what people need to do is, if they want to become more disciplined, is start trying to do things like that, set goals, and just make yourself do them every single day. You know what I mean? Like If you want to, like, a good goal would be to go run every day. Even if
Yeah.
you're in like skinny, it doesn't matter. Running is fucking hard, man. If you actually run a few miles, like, so if you could set a goal to just start running every day at the same time, and no matter what you do that, and you keep on and you keep on, you will become more disciplined over time. You just slowly start improving on other aspects of your life as well.
I've done it. I've been lifting weights since 2003, and I kind of have a unique, not just with lifting weights, but with academics, with learning, with drug use, with weight gain. I've had a kind of unique thing in where I went from hyper disciplined to not at all. Normally, you go from not disciplined to disciplined, or you go to disciplined to you fuck it all up. I have a very weird experience where I went from hyper disciplined to fucked it all up, and through the great, I genuinely believe through the grace of God, have got back to discipline. But I started looking at it as like, okay, I want to do 20 push-ups a day, or you're so fat you can't do 20 push-ups. And you go, well, fuck it. Well, then eventually you ask yourself, you go, well, can you do one push-up a day? Yeah, I can do one push-up a day. Can you do two a day? You're like, yeah, I can do two. And then you find I'm like, oh, I can do about five. Go, okay, do five every day for the month of January. And you're like, I can do that. Well, if don't roll your eyes at it, do it. And you go through the whole month. And then there are some days where that five is harder. You're really not feeling it. Other days you brush through it and you're like, why am I doing this? Well, I started doing that last January with push-ups and pull-ups, and I was still had too much extra weight to be able to do these body weight exercises. And then when I get to the first of the new month, I go, all right, add five more. And you do 10, you go, this isn't that hard. So you try to do 20 and you go, that's too hard. So you find that sweet spot and then go, just do that every day. And where I'd scoff at it and go, why am I doing this? You then have to go, well, for 5 years, I've been telling myself I'm going to do this. And if I can't do it, why am I scoffing at this baby step? And so I just stuck with it. Now, as of January 2023, I start my workout with 85 push-ups and 15 military pull-ups.
Badass, man.
I could have never fucking done that in my
Mhm.
wildest dreams. Now, if you ask me, could I do 95? I don't think so. But I know on February 1st I can do 90, and that's all I'll do. And so you then have to ask, like, well, where does the discipline come from? I honestly, I think it's just hard work. There is no shortcut. It suck the dick. You got to work your ass. If it hurts, good. And no pain, no gain's a bad mindset. No, it's the only mindset. If you're not in pain, you're not pushing yourself as hard. This is what it is. Fuck off. Those are the rules of reality. I didn't make them. But discipline it can actually kind of come in an easier way. And when you start to just track the data, and you start to notice it and you go, well, hold on, if I just stick with this. And my logic always comes to this. When you look at a long-term goal and it seems unreachable, I think there's one question and one question only to ask yourself. Are you suicidal? I'm someone that has been before. I've lost family members to suicide. I've lost my older brother to suicide. I am not, though. I go, okay, well, 32 years have gone by and I'm still here. I have every intention of living for another 32. If I have a 10-year goal and it seems unattainable right now, aside from a freak accident or an illness, I have every intention of being here in 10 years. Where do you want to be in those? Well, it's so far away. 10 years ago, I graduated from college. I could have never imagined what 10 years from that day would be, but here I am. I've still put on clothes. I still got to turn on the fucking shower, do laundry, got to fill up my water bottle. All right. Unless something tragic happens, I assume I'm going to be here at 42. What do you want to have done at 42? I want to be able to do 1,000 push-ups. I want my podcast to be this big. Well, then just stick with it. And I can really only boil it down to, are you or are you not suicidal? If you are, get help. But if you're not, make the long-term goal and then just do the smallest amount that you know you can do every day. Don't drink a cup of coffee and then make your daily goals because you're going to be delusional with energy. I always make my to-do list at the end of the day when I'm dead fucking tired. The last podcast is uploaded. I've done everything. I've eaten. And I'm like, okay, that is when I make my to-do list. Because I go, if I can tell myself now where I'm, I have a cold right now, the NyQuil's kicking in, my eyelids are heavy. Now is the time to make the to-do list. Because if you can do it now, you can do it tomorrow when you feel better. So I'm like, okay, got Ron, he's coming on. And then I got another one after that. Then I got to go get groceries and I got to send these emails. I can fucking do that. And it doesn't sound like much, but when you then repeat it for 1,000 days, all of a sudden those little tiny stones turn into a mountain. And you go, how the fuck did I do this? And then someone comes along and goes, how do you get the mountain? And you go, oh, Jesus, you just gotta stick with it, dude.
Yeah, I feel bad for the people who still are at the bottom of the mountain. I mean, but I
Yeah.
feel like I'm still at the bottom of the mountain. You know what I'm saying, like, I have so many goals
Yeah.
still, and I when I look at this shit, I'm like, it's just like you. I never, man, when I used to take these trading courses and shit, I couldn't even believe, like, my mind was just, it was blown with information. I
Yeah.
was just, it was like every day my head was just like, holy shit, man, this is crazy. But now that when you're the person like teaching people and doing it and you've done it so much, it becomes more comfortable, and you doing that every day, it feels like it's forever when it's happening, but really you do start to become more comfortable. Like, look how more comfortable you probably are today doing your podcast
Sure.
and talking to people than when you first started. And I think fear holds a lot of people back. Fear and like insecurities, um like I said, I'm not like a very educated person, and that kind of held me back for a lot of time in my life, like being insecure. I always worked in the oil field, and like I always
Sure.
knew I was kind of smart, but I'm not like schooled, like in like an actual college or university degree or anything like that. And when you're going to something like stocks, it's kind of intimidating. But the thing is, you have to realize that, like we talked about that earlier. I think you said something about, like, you can learn anything. I think even people that don't have a huge IQ, just a basic IQ, even under, it's experience. When you try to do something and you put all your time into that and you keep doing it and you keep doing it, whether you learn a tiny bit some days or you learn more some days, it's the repetition and it's just the staying the course that over time you'll surprise yourself what you can really do and what you can learn, and then you do just become more comfortable, you become more confident, and then in 10 more years I can only imagine what you're going to be like on your podcast, right? Or how big it's going to be, and it's, you look at these people and they say, like, I think it's like, I heard a saying the other day, and it was like, um, something about success being overnight. It seems like success is overnight for a lot of people. Like, when you look at people, they just pop up on the radar, and you're like, where the hell did this fucking guy come from? He came here out of nowhere, just bust onto the scene. But really, there's years and years and years of that behind the scenes you didn't see before this guy came on the scene. Almost all, there are people that become lucky sometimes. Like, some people do just luck out,
Sure.
but it's very, very rare, man. And I don't even want to be one of those people because I
Yeah.
can't relate to people and I don't have a story. I want to write a story worth reading, right? Like, I want to write a story that people are like, oh yeah, like they're going to relate to that. They're going to say, fuck, that's going to inspire people. To me, if I just came from like, just somebody gave me everything, well, that to me is not a story I want to fucking read. It's not a story that I can relate to. I want to struggle. I know you don't really want to struggle when it's happening. It's kind of shitty, but you do want to struggle and you want to try hard because then you can relate. You can teach people better. You develop just so many more good positive qualities as a person, I believe, when you do struggle, and you have to actually stay the course and go through all those things.
And it is yeah, whenever people start to ask you for advice and all of a sudden you realize you're like, oh fuck, I kind of like know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's actually very well, one, it's kind of imposter syndrome. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing, dude. Now people they're like, but dude, you've done 1,000 episodes. And I'm like, yeah, technically I have, but I go into every episode and having no idea. I mean, truly, like I've done episodes where I realize halfway through, literally, that my pants are on backwards. Like that's not like sweatpants
Yeah.
on backwards. I'm like, why is there a pocket on my ass? I'm like talking to some esteemed doctor, and I'm like, why is there? I can feel laces in my butt crack, and but you don't say it, right? You just, of
Yeah. Yeah.
course. But like it's kind of liberating because then you go, all right, so I'm looking down at people who are at the bottom of the mountain, and a small percentage of them will succeed. And you go, how did I get to where I am? And then you look, they're like, man, Ron's on that mountain, but you're not looking at them. You're looking at the mountain next. You're looking at a Warren Buffett. And you go, how the fuck did he?
Yeah.
But
No shit.
then there's that dawning moment of where you go, oh, one day. when I become Warren Buffett, I'm gonna look back down and go, oh, none of these guys were born with this. You build yourself up, and then one day yeah, it sucks when you're struggling. Snap your fingers, and episode 1050, how the fuck did that happen? You just keep building and build, and it's not the sexy answer. There's no, but where's the secret? Where do you hack the mainframe and make the billion? You can, but then you also might end up, rated by the feds, and that's if you want the high.
Exactly.
Yeah, you end up FTX, you end up Enron, you end up jumping
Mhm.
out of a building or putting a gun in your mouth. You end up
Yeah,
it ain't
exactly.
great.
No, it's not great. And even sometimes, like, I think that for me, what's helped me is like I listen to other people a lot. Like I listen to really professional athletes a lot and other people that are up there, and I listen to their journey and I like to listen to their stories. And a lot of times you're kind of lost on this road. You're like, damn, am I making any progress? Sometimes it's really hard to see if you're making progress. But then you hear these stories from like them talking about their struggles or what they came through, what they came from. And it's like you start to realize, like, damn, that's exactly what I'm going through right now. Like, and just like you said about Warren Buffett, I watched an interview with him 2 days ago, and he was talking about how I always thought Warren Buffett was just a long-term investor because I've heard him talk like about trading and he doesn't talk too positively about like just trading or day trading and stuff. And then I watched this interview with him and he said, he's like, oh yeah, when I was 11 and I first started trading, he's like, that's like what I was as a trader. He's like, I read all these books on technical analysis and all these things. He's like, that one book, he's like, the one technical analysis by Edwards, McGee, and Bassetti. And I was like, fuck, dude, that's exactly what I fucking read. You know what I'm saying? It's like the same book sitting right here next to me. And then he's saying that he was a trader for about 8 years before he started long-term investing. Well, I've been trading now for almost 10 years. And in the past couple of years is when I first really started
Oh,
getting into
dabbling.
long-term investing and started listening. And it's like, damn, man, like that's crazy because that's exactly how I felt at first. I felt like everything was got to be like this technical analysis and trading and stuff. And you start to see like trading is awesome. It's exciting. You can make good money trading. It comes with a lot of pitfalls and a lot of anxiety and a lot of other things because you're not always going to make money trading. Some days you lose money and it doesn't feel good when you lose money trading, especially when you lose money for a whole week straight. And it can happen. It's not a joke. Even if you're a professional trader, you make money a lot, you can lose money for a whole week straight. And when you're going through that, it sucks. But the thing is, I've even started to realize over time too, right? Like long-term investing is a lot safer bet. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's way less anxiety. And in the end, that's what's going to make you really wealthy. Day trading will make you money, but day trading is not going to make you wealthy like a long-term investing will. The only problem is long-term investing takes a long time to make you money, whereas day trading you can actually make money quickly. So you got money in your pockets, but I use a lot of that to learn how to put aside to so I can invest in other things. Like my house is paid off, right? Like paid my house off within a few years. And I remember one guy told me actually that paying your house off was not a smart thing to do. His he was telling me that his mother-in-law was like or his father-in-law was a banker, a bank manager, and he told him that paying your house off wasn't good because you can write off some interest. I don't know what it was, but man, I paid my house off so fast that I paid very little interest. And the best thing about it is that it relieves a lot of stress. Your most expensive bill in the end of the month is your rent. You know what I'm saying? And when you can alleviate that, that's a huge thing. And my house is more than doubled in value. So I thought it was actually a good thing to do. But I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not some smart financial wizard. But I mean, in my mind, I was thinking, hell yeah, like. But it
Absolutely.
was there.
Yeah. And then like there's also, and it's harder to find these, but I think they're much more valuable. And it's not, there's like another level. Like go find your Warren Buffett and listen to his story, and you'll go, oh, that's where I am. But then
Exactly.
you always have to remember that, like we've talked about, your memory can trick you. I
Mhm.
can look I can look back at my 3-year podcast journey fondly, oh, there are ups and downs versus like, no, I can say that now because it's kind of working versus
Yeah,
like
that's true too.
actually bring me back 2 years ago, still living with my parents, working at a liquor store, and you're just sitting in your car during your break period, just trying to get someone to respond to you. Like, can I please have you on my show? I'll read your fucking book. And you're like, God, you're just smashing your head on the steering wheel. And
Yeah.
like, so it's great to find someone and hear their story, but then it's even greater is if you can go find actual like video or a picture or writing of that person. So you can hear Jeff Bezos talk about, well, I work so hard, it's inspiring. And then you go see a picture of him like serving hot dogs on Venice Beach or something. And then you go, that's there's the thing. Because that's not a guy telling you how it all works. You're seeing the guy in an
Yeah.
absolutely fucked situation. And I can't, I can never really you can't really use like a Joe Rogan because he started the podcast already being set for
Yeah,
life.
exactly.
But Tim Dillon, who's I think the funniest guy on the planet, he's started to make it in the last 3 years. I think he makes like 3 million a year on Patreon. But you can go back and listen to him in like 2016. And he's living in an apartment with like four other people where like the kitchen is bifurcated into half of it's a shower and half of it's a kitchen. And he's doing a podcast and he's like, yeah, one person's making an egg, like, and some lady's washing her twat while I'm trying to do a fucking podcast. And he's like, why don't I just jump out of this goddamn window? And then you just hear him stick with it. And then he goes and he goes and he goes. And sure, you can listen to him now on Rogan, and he's got a house in Beverly Hills in the Hamptons, and he's doing shows all over the world, and he can regale to you about his struggle. It's so much more valuable when you can actually go find an hour of him talking where he's like, it's like, I got a fight with an Uber driver today, and then someone took my phone, and I ate a hot dog, and I threw it up on the subway, and I still have to do a podcast. And then you're like, that guy's a millionaire now.
Yeah.
That is, I think, the most valuable thing is if, and maybe it's not, you don't have the benefit of like listening to a podcaster who does video audio, but if you can go find like a Warren Buffett, like a journal or something from when he's younger, that is so, and really it all kind of comes full circle back to just track the data,
Yeah.
track the data. And it starts to show you that there's no other reason but to be disciplined. It's going up. My podcast is going up tenfold every 12 months. And it's not a fluke. It's done 3 years in a row now. What are you not gonna? No, it's time to quit and go get a day job. Is your salary gonna increase 10 times in a year? If it does, will it ever do that again? Probably not. And so then you start to come to like, there is no other reason but to stick with it. And from the outside, it looks like hardcore discipline. And in a sense, it is. But in another sense, I'm just like, why would I not keep doing? What are you talking about? I can see where the road's going.
It becomes normal also. Like,
Yeah, that too.
even when you're tracking the data at first, when you see people, I remember when I've used to, like, man, the guy who taught me how to trade stocks, he would be like, I look at like 1,000 stock charts a day. And I was like, what the fuck? How can you look at 1,000 stock charts a day? Like, man, it blew my mind. Dude, I look at 1,000 stock charts, no problem. Like, I can rip through stock charts now.
Oh, yeah.
But I started at the same time as my best friend who ended up stopping. And I'm telling you, like, we might have looked through like two stocks a day, two or three stocks, and being like, oh, you're overwhelmed. You get to a point where you can see that. And writing things down is also important when you start. Like, I used to have these little things written on my wall for a long time, things that I had to remember, like certain characteristics of stocks. Well, now I know them off the top of my head, but for a long time I was sitting there thinking, man, like, I'll never remember that. You know what I mean? And you have it written down. I have books. I have stacks of like these little notepads. Like, I'm talking, I would usually have three on my dresser or on my desk over here. And I would just be writing down every single thing every day, writing down a journal every single day, and it's good. You have that also to look back on, because sometimes, like we just said, your mind tricks you. You forget where you started. And sometimes I'll pull those books out and look, and I really don't even like to look at them really because of the feelings I get, because it is depressing. It's very depressing at the time when I was going through that, trying to learn. It was very depressing, and to look at that stuff. But it's also makes you feel good because you can see how far you've came. You know what I mean? And like with me, I didn't come from anything. My dad was a janitor growing up. We didn't have anything. Like, even today, my dad and mom, like, I don't have any backup plan. I won't inherit anything. You know what I'm saying? I have like six brothers, and I will not inherit a penny. I don't want to inherit anything. Don't expect to. Everything I've got, like when I came to the United States, I was like 22 years old when I came here, and I came here with nothing, like nothing. I had a little bit of change in my pocket. I had like two pairs of pants, I think, like two shirts, and some really bad stuff happened to me right before I left. Like, really bad stuff I won't even talk about to people.
Sure.
But life-changing, life-altering things. And I didn't have a license, I didn't have a computer, I didn't have a cell phone, I didn't have anything. I came down here and I started working. And everything that I have now is because of through hard work and just, I guess, discipline. You know what I'm saying? And just like you said, just kind of pushing along every day. It's discouraging when it's happening too, and especially when you go from having a lot of people around you and friends and family to having nobody. Because most of my family, there are family down here now, but most of them are spread out throughout the United States and Canada even. But right here in Houston, I'm pretty much the only one. So writing things down and keeping pictures or things of the past if you can, and having those to look back on even for yourself, just so you can see the progress sometimes when you can't see it also helps. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there is that like I hate looking back at old episodes. Not just because I suck and I swear way too much and the video is terrible and it's echoing and not only that, but I just look back and it's kind of like putting your hand near an oven. I'm like, I can see behind I'm like, oh man, I remember where I was so fucking depressed. I'm wearing like my liquor store shirt because I'm about to go to my job and I'm like, oh God, but then you go, well, if I got through that, and then you're like, well, how the fuck am I not gonna get through this? What kind of pussy bitch wouldn't get? I got through that living with my parents, working at a liquor store. I can't get through this where like my gym is now in my own building. I have now have my own bedroom. I used to do the podcast from I now have a studio room. Like
Yeah,
it's
that's awesome, man.
yeah, and it's like,
And it
how am
looks
I?
good. It really
Thank
looks
you.
good.
Yeah, I haven't got the good camera set up. I have one like yours. I need to set it up. I haven't done it. I need to. But like, um, then there is something of like the daily, even today, when we're talking about all these wonderful, wisdom and moving forward and seeing the, again, all the fucking cliches. But like even today, like I woke up just face down on my pillow listening to my alarm and was like, I want to go to the gym. I don't want to do this podcast. I don't want to interview Mike and Ron. I want to go back to bed. I don't want to do anything. And I'm like, get the fuck up. Just start moving. The gym's gonna your gym wakes you up, the shower wakes you up, meditation wakes you up. You're gonna start talking to Ron. You guys are gonna start fucking laughing and talking to him. Oh yeah, wait, I have a cool fucking job. I get to do whatever I want to. Like, no one put a gun in my head and said interview Ron. No, today Ron and I are shoot the shit about everything. Halfway through, I'm gonna go piss like an unprofessional. But like you start moving and moving and moving, and then you get to the end of the day, you go, oh, I fucking did it. And spoiler alert, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm gonna go, I do not want to fucking do these podcasts. I do not want to, but like you said, how can I look at 1,000 of these how can I look at 1,000 charts in a day? And then it becomes normal.
Mm-hmm.
Now in 2020, I think I listened to 26 audiobooks, like nonfiction, like historical audiobooks. In 2021, I listened to, I think, 40. In 2022, I listened to 66. How do you do that? Well, now when I wake up, I don't even think I actually kind of did pause for a minute today. As soon as I wake up, I turned on an audiobook and put it at 2x speed. And I just kind of had a moment of like laughing, like what my norm now is so weird. I'm listening to a book about like a 1900s slaughterhouse in Chicago by Upton Sinclair. It led to all these regulations and shit. But like my first instinct isn't to get on Instagram. I wake up and it's like I'm just going about my day. I'm checking emails, checking it all off. But like working out, you keep pushing it and then it becomes your norm. The trick is then once it becomes your norm and you go, oh, I can now look at 1,000 of these a day. Well, can you look at 1,500? You're probably like, fuck, no, I can't look at 1,500. Well, that's the new goal. And you should never be in a spot of like, now I'm comfortable. It's no. As soon as you go, oh, I can listen to it at 2x speed. Can you listen to it at 2.1 speed? I can try. We'll start doing that. I At any given moment, I want to look a year ahead. And Tommy on January 11th, 2024, if I could just somehow peer through time at him for just 10 minutes, I want to be blown away. I want to be like, you're doing what? You're interviewing who? You're doing how many push-ups? You're listening to how many? What the fuck is wrong with you? I want to be intimidated because it means I will have kept conquering. And then when I get to that moment, and I asked that 2024 Tommy, I go, how the fuck are you doing this? I want him to look at me and be like, dude, I'm looking at 2025 Tommy. That guy's a psychopath. That's what I want, is to just keep going and going and going. And then you just you come to peace with the daily grind. And I really do think it all boils down to, are you or are you not suicidal? And if the answer is no, then yeah, you can come to America at 2022 with a couple bucks. And it may seem, oh, I'm never going to get to where Ron is
And
today.
I was even suicidal when I came here. So I mean, I've been suicidal plenty of times in my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. If you haven't been suicidal by 30, something's wrong,
Yeah.
right? If you
But I feel
haven't,
when people tell me they haven't been, I don't know how. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But we
Yeah.
also are in a privileged country too, America, right? And I think
Yeah.
that it's odd, man. I have friends and they're really content with being at their job, and it's very hard for them to do things for themselves. And I think, like you were saying earlier, it's hard for you to get up and do the podcast, but man, but it's weird because people will get up and go to work for somebody else
Yeah.
every day, whether they
Yeah.
want to or not. They're gonna go do it, right? But people look at things like this, like working for yourself, and they think that it's easy. And working for myself is way harder than working in the
Any
oil
other
field
job.
ever was. Like my uncle told me, he's like, why don't you come back and get some of this easy money? And I was like, yeah, that's easy money for me, man, because I'll tell you right now, the things that I've been through on this road were way, way, way harder than going to work. Even though I worked in like the heat, the cold, I worked like 16 hours a day, 13 hours a day, every single day. We got days off. Sometimes I worked months without a day off. Sometimes I got a day off every 2 weeks. But that, to me, when I'm just going to work and someone's telling me what to do, it's just like a guaranteed paycheck. Whether I perform great or whether I don't perform very well, I'm coming home at the end of the day with the paycheck. When you're doing something and actually like losing money or not making money, and you can continue to do that, and that gets very, very hard, man, like mentally.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind that people will go work for other places, but not for themselves, right? Like I think that we should all be trying to do something for ourselves. And even if it's one little small thing, I think that everybody should create some kind of goal and try to work towards that, even if it's on the side, if it's 1 hour every day. Like you went to school and you usually go for like an hour every day for one subject, like math or anything. I can see like the progress in my stepson. He's like 15. Like he goes 1 hour every day for math, but the dude can school me on math. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like from 1 hour every day.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can do with 1 hour every day extra, right? And everybody, I think, has, or almost everybody has an hour every day where they could put something. But what's got people now is the social media and things like that, and people feel necessary to go on that. It's kind of like a release, I guess, or maybe it's dopamine. I don't know what it is, but it's got people to a spot where they would rather almost do that, or it feels better doing that than working for
Yeah.
themselves, right? But if my thing is, if you can at least spend 1 hour every day doing something for yourself, in a few years you could really develop some skills, or be somebody different, or be doing something different. Maybe that 1 hour a day could even help you be able to build your own career doing something for yourself.
Yeah. I saw some funny quote. I think my mom sent it to me, and it goes, people who work for themselves are the only people in the world that will work 80-hour weeks so they don't have to work 40-hour weeks.
Yeah, I know, it's the truth, man.
Right. And you have to go, well, why the fuck? And it's like, because like you have to work, like to me, like if I'm not doing this podcast, it's because I'm not working at all. I've said, fuck it. I'm trying to sell drugs, or I've joined a cartel and I'm doing something no good. But like, if I'm gonna work anyway, why the fuck would I go work for some? I'm at least gonna take this risk so that it can be something greater than I've ever imagined. And it's terrifying. It's not in school where if I don't do well in this class, I'm gonna have to retake it. I don't I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen if this thing doesn't work. You have all these contingency plans and safeguards, and disciplinary rules, and I've got to hit these things every week, and then you can rest, and then you can do this next week and next month and next year, and all these different things, and it's scary, but there's no greater feeling than when it starts to work. Like you feel like you're stranded on some island in the Pacific, and after 10 years, you finally found enough like plastic bottles and string that you've made a raft, and it floats, and you push off from the shore and it floats, and you're like, oh, we're in fucking business now. Like there is no greater feeling. And like, yeah, I've had jobs, man. It's a very comforting feeling to just go do the thing, just suck the dick, whatever, you get the money. Like and I have the majority of people I know do that, and I can't even fault it because it is comfortable. They have very fun social lives, they have their friends and their
For sure,
whatever the
man.
fuck. I'm insane, and I can't do that. I need to do this. I have to every day be like, "Well, I have no idea what tomorrow holds." I can't live that life, but there's really nothing because if once you start to conquer this, then you're like, "Well, what can't I do?" If
Exactly.
I can build and you start to see I think it was Steve Jobs that said, and we'll wrap it up with this. I think it was Steve Jobs that said, he was like, "The most pivotal moment in any entrepreneur's life is when they start to is when they stop viewing the world as this static thing, and they instead push on point A, and they see something happen on point B, and they go, 'Oh, this whole thing's malleable.' You we have these ideas. You go to the grocery store and the stoplight turns green and this happens and you're just in this world versus when instead of like you watch a podcast and then maybe you start to comment and one day you see that the guy had on the guy that you commented and finally you start a podcast and then you start interviewing the people you wanted to see interviewed and you start to actually change the landscape of it and you're like, oh, this isn't a prison, this is a playground. It's terrifying, but the entire world changes from I'm stuck here, I'm imprisoned here, to I'm a player on the field too. Now you can make a change. You can make a play. And then the big goal is, and then I can fucking win the game.
Mhm.
It an entirely new universe opens up from being a prisoner to being a player. And it's if you haven't done it, it's almost you almost it almost can't be explained to you. But it changes your entire reality. And it's just it goes from watching a movie to playing a video game where you're like, "Give me the fucking controller, I'll do this
Yeah.
shit." It's
For me, it makes life like like worth living. Like I feel like
yeah,
I'm living for something now. Before
yeah,
I was just like living to live. I didn't have any type of goals. I'm just living, just going through life. Now it's like you're living for something. Like every moment you're alive, it's like you're just trying to do something, right? And it
yes,
gives you like that. It gives you a feeling like if you're living for something now. You have something that you're I don't know. It's like you said, it's life changing. It is very, very good, like a liberating feeling in a way. Even if you do end up failing, like, you hear that saying, like, I'd rather try and fail than not have tried at all. That is the truth, man. When you're doing something like that, that's what you believe. Like if even if I fail, even like, man, I will never probably ever feel like I've made it, man. Like I've got it. Like never. I will never feel like that. I will never want to feel like that. I always want to feel like I have a goal. I feel like when people get to that point of I've made it or something, I think that's when it's
that
almost like what's left, like what I'll never have that feeling, man. If I'm not trading stocks, like when I met you, man, I remember you were like all about graphic design and all this stuff. You know all these things about Photoshop. I didn't know anything about Photoshop. I didn't know anything about video. I didn't know anything about any of that. But in the past few years, I've learned a lot about graphic design and Photoshop, and I've now I can edit videos. I can make videos. I know about cameras and photography. Like it just keeps growing and growing. It's like, I don't know if you've ever read that book, The Obstacle is the Way,
yeah, yeah,
Ryan Holiday or whatever,
yeah,
but um the obstacle for me was trading stocks. And I don't know if like I'll always trade stocks, and I feel passionate for stocks. I always will. But I don't know. This is leading me in another direction. This me trying to trade stocks has created a belief in myself that has made me open up to so many different things and avenues and learn so many different things. And it's like, well, even like you, I'm sure the same thing, like just with your video and your podcast and all the things you have to learn that go along with that. And it turns you into somebody, and it makes you feel powerful, not powerful like in like a evil powerful way, but
confident.
powerful like inside of yourself, you know what I mean? Like you just confident, I guess, or I don't know if it's confidence is the word, but it does make me feel confident in myself that I can learn anything now, and that confidence brings me um brings me to where I feel like I want to learn other things, and it's turning me into the person I'm supposed to be, right? Like the obstacle was the stocks, and that is the way that it's leading me in the path that I need to go, you know?
It's, I mean, this podcast, yeah, the podcast is the way. It started with this. It has led to me to losing weight, to building muscle, to saving more money than I ever have. And not because it's rolling in, but because it's something I could have always done. But now I do it. And now I learn more than I've ever learned before. I pray more. I'm closer to God. I'm closer to my family. It's this like magnetic force that is pulling every aspect of me towards it. And yeah, I think you said it perfectly. You're living for something. And then I try to extrapolate further and I go, well, then what happens when I have the biggest podcast in the world and I've made all the money I want to have? Well, then there's almost like a higher level of being. And it's, well, now you can start to alleviate the pain of others. You don't want
Exactly.
to alleviate all pain because struggle is good,
Yeah, for sure.
but there's a difference between struggle and build your own podcast to people who are just fucked
Hmm.
in an abusive family, raped as a child,
Sure.
born a crack baby, or you're born in sub-Saharan Africa
And
and you've never
single
seen.
mothers, I think single mothers need help. Now that I have a kid,
Yeah,
I could not even like, man, I got my wife takes care of the kid most
yeah,
of the time, and I'm still like overwhelmed. Like,
yeah,
I cannot imagine. Like, I used to never, I couldn't relate to it, I guess, at the time. I hear all these things about single mothers. Oh, dude, a single mother or a mother working a job and taking care of her kid. This, like,
insane.
I could not imagine having my kid being sick or something and having to go to work and put my child in the hands of someone else to watch. Like in the world we live in today, like no way, man. Like they have it
Absolutely
so
not.
hard. I would love to help single mothers and stuff like that, you know?
And like I look at, for me, it's like I look at depression. Like I got to when my life went to shit, I got to move home with my loving parents who got me medical care and who took care of me and nurtured me back to health. If I didn't have parents and there was no one to call, it would have ended with just a gunshot
Mhm.
or a pill. It just would have. And to me, I'm like, well, I wonder what change I can do. I wonder what
Yeah.
things I can do to, again, you don't want to remove all struggle. Struggle is very good,
Mhm.
but there are people who are just utterly fucked and who never even had a choice to work hard.
Mhm.
They're born with a horrible disease. Or yeah, they're born into the fucking downtown Compton. And it's like, yeah, dude, that kid's not ever gonna get a shot to go be a doctor. It's not that he wouldn't, fight for it. He's not even getting the opportunity to fight for it. He never learned how to read. And it's like, then you can go, and it comes back to the world becomes malleable. You stop looking at it as this dark, evil place and the world is fucked. And you go, oh, I can make it a little, and it's kind of interesting. What do a Carnegie or a Rockefeller do at the end of their life when they've had hundreds of billion? They do philanthropy. These guys who grew up like on the docks fighting in bars and abusive deadbeat dads, once they've conquered the world, they tend to go, how do I help the least among us who have been truly fucked? Kids who
Some of
don't
them
have
do.
homes. Some of them
Some
do.
of them
Some of
do.
them
Some of them
become
are just heartless fucking pieces of shit, in my
oh,
opinion.
yeah, no, that's it. This isn't a rule. This isn't a
Yeah,
some
yeah.
of them are
No, no.
demons from hell.
Yeah, for
No,
sure. Yeah.
I'm with you. Some of them are complete
Yeah.
demons from hell.
Mhm.
But, like, some of them do make the world a little better, and then you have to imagine what things in our life are from people that just not even, like, recent. I mean, 1,000 years ago, or fucking someone that invented penicillin, or how many things from our life do we not even think twice? Like reverse osmosis water. I don't know
Oh,
who
yeah.
the fuck started that, but I'm sure someone along the line, some dude probably owned a water plant and was like, yeah, 200 years ago, was like, fuck, get rid of the patent, give it to the. We don't even think about it. We just go, oh, we have running water now.
Yeah.
What shoulders of giants are we standing on? And then you go, can I be that for someone in 1,000 years? And they'll never know it was me, and they'll never know it was you. But if I got to it, and then ultimately it all boils down to I do have a belief in a God, and I do think we are here to make this world a little better for those after us, and that's really the organizing principle of it all. Is like I want when I'm dead, I want to be able to look back and despite all of my flaws, be like you left the world a little better than you found it.
Sure.
And just like we talked about, after a long day's work, you can sit down without guilt and go, oh, I'm about to play some Grand Theft Auto and listen to a podcast because I worked my ass off today. I can only imagine that's what happens. I want to go into death and be like, probably could have done more, but I did a fucking lot. I want to like lay down in my coffin at peace and be like, fuck yeah, I deserve this. That's what I want.
It's awesome.
Beautiful ending. With this, Ron, I love you, brother. I will put the links to all of your shit. Text them to me just so I have them still, and I'll put them in the description. Guys, go follow Ron. Don't be a piece of shit. Go follow him. As you can tell, he's not a huckster. He's not dealing FTX. He's telling you the exact opposite. Go bang your head in an oil field for 10 years and then maybe get into trading. It is not an easy path. None of this shit's easy. It shouldn't be easy. And that's all I got. Ron, I gotta run because I got another guest in the waiting room. So
all right, man.
take care, bro. I'll text it to you when it's up, and talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. God bless. Ron.